We are live. Ladies and gents, how we doing today? All right, what are we doing today? All right, so I came across this tweet. Let's see if I can bring it up. I came across this tweet by Imad from Mercury, and he's talking about an AI plus fintech idea. Let's go through it together and kind of start planning out the process. I thought it was super interesting. Definitely sort of up my alley given like my payments background and work that I've done in automation and scraping in the past. Yeah, I thought this was super interesting and probably a really good application of AI. So let's go through it together, plan out like how we might go ahead implementing this, or at least like a small version of this, and then see if we can actually build this, and see if this is anything people would actually use. So just super interested in kind of taking this idea and seeing how far we can get with it. So the idea goes like this: build a shopping agent for consumers. User sees something they want to buy, they click on buy on some Chrome extension, and the Chrome extension creates a virtual card and an email, navigates to the website, and then buys the thing. The agent also confirms the buy and provides some sort of tracking link, if if that's what you want. One click buy for all. And the problem that's implicit in this description is that it actually takes forever to buy stuff. It's fine if you're buying off Amazon, and that's probably a big part of the reason why, or maybe not a big part, but at least a part of the reason why people buy from Amazon is because Amazon knows your shipping address. Amazon knows your card details, and you don't have to worry about tracking because Amazon sends you tracking updates. Whereas if you're trying to buy off like momandpop.com, it's so annoying because you have to enter your shipping details. You have to enter your payment details. Maybe you need to confirm your email, for the 100th time that day. And there's just so much friction. And sometimes, even if there's a difference of, even if it's more expensive to buy on Amazon, you would still buy off Amazon, just because of that like extra friction involved in buying directly from the store. So this is super interesting. And then he says, interface for mobile could be via text because, Chrome extensions don't work on mobile. Text URL for product to a number. The AI agent responds with the price and details and then does the actual buy. The AI agent could also like find websites where that exact product is cheaper. Makes sense. Suggest alternative or similar products that are cheaper and automatically find and apply discount codes. That's super smart. Find and apply discount codes using something like Honey or whatever else. I think there are probably APIs at this point that can do this, or you can automate like a Google search and to pull out like probable discount codes that work. Currently, obviously, a manual process, but certainly something that could be automated. What else? So this guy, yeah, discount code, specific use case or problem. Yeah, that's exactly it. This is exactly the problem I was talking about. I hate using a random website to buy things. Only use Amazon because it's so much more convenient. I wouldn't say only use Amazon. I mean, trust for Amazon is way higher than trust for a random website, I would think, but definitely a part of the reason why. Merchants would just block due to fraud prevention. This is actually a really good point. I think it's a valid point. If you're going out there like automating, like the obvious way to do this would be to have some extension where you're automating the clicks. There's two ways, maybe possibly more, but the two sort of obvious ways. One is do a Chrome extension, like Imad is saying over here. You have a Chrome extension, it sort of emulates clicks on different elements and then completes forms, advances to the next page, et cetera, et cetera. And then you're basically observing as a user all these actions that the Chrome extension is taking. It's not entirely transparent. Um, the second part, the second option is just make the entire process automated. You don't actually need to even have the user looking at anything. And the way this would work is using browser automation tools like Puppeteer. I think Chrome has their own like RDP thing, which allows you to programmatically um, take actions on a Chrome browser without necessarily having user input. So that's another way that you could do this. I think there was one called Playwright, um, like a new instance of Puppeteer, something like that. Basically, some browser automation tool that does it in the background. So you don't, as a user, you don't see anything. All you see is like the output of the process. So those are the two processes. For the second, the latter, I would imagine it would be super tricky. And the reason being, websites don't like bots. Like websites don't like to be crawled, and there are a bunch of tools that prevent crawling of websites, whether it's, crawling price information. Websites don't like sharing prices in a way that, price comparison sites can, make a determination for where you can find a particular product cheaper. Maybe it's competitors, trying to do like inventory tracking to see like how much of a product is available on a competitor website, something like that. Like trying to figure out, things like how popular a particular product is. There's all sort of information that you can leak if you allow your website to be crawled. And so a lot of website owners, what they do is use services like Cloudflare and, various other like anti-bot tools to prevent crawling. And this would be a challenge for the latter way of doing things, which is, just scraping and sort of, doing things in a completely automated fashion, and not allowing the user to use their own sort of logged in session. That's the other thing also. Like in the latter case, you'd actually have to take the credentials, like the Amazon, account details, so that you can sign in to Amazon as the user. I guess there are probably ways you can do this. I've experimented with this in the past, where you can like take the session cookie and then use it. So when you're signing into um, a browser in the application. So like you open up the application window, you sign in to Amazon.com. But then what happens is you take the session cookie and you use that when making requests, when making future requests to Amazon. Uh, and so that way, it thinks that you're the user. So that's a way to connect to someone's Amazon account without leaking their username and password or 2FA. Anyway, all that to say, let's see if we could put up some notes over here. Um, so the two sort of different ways for attacking this would be Chrome extension, or the other way would be um, browser automation. And it seems like there's some overlap there. I would say like this is 100%. Um, well, maybe it's not that it's 100% automatic. It's probably more that it's hidden or alive. Uh, and then this is done live. Yeah, so hidden versus live is probably a better distinction. It's possible. Okay. All right. These are your possible solutions. I'm thinking in terms of like complexity. Which one would be easier to get started with? And um, I'm leaning towards this one for simplicity. And the reason being, um, so the advantages is um, more resilient to anti-bot measures. An important one, I think, is that it's recoverable. So if there's some sort of extra validation step. Like some, if it suspects that you're a bot, and then it adds some extra step, like the Google CAPTCHA where you're supposed to tick the box. In this case, in the latter case, you wouldn't be able to pass that unless you had some special logic for detecting and handling that. You wouldn't be able, you'd be stuck. Like the job would essentially crash. You wouldn't be able to continue. Whereas in this case, it's actually recoverable. The user is right there. They're staring at their screen, but they're not doing the clicks themselves. And so, in this case, they'd actually be able to complete the check, and then you'd be able to resume the flow. So that would actually be a positive. The downside is that it doesn't work on mobile. That's why Imad was suggesting that you use what was he suggesting? Text. Use SMS instead. Possible, yeah. Hmm. Yeah, so that this is why, and this would be simpler also. I think that's a big one, right? Especially in the early stage, you're trying to remove complexity, and this should definitely be the simpler solution is having a Chrome extension versus just having um, trying to build like the entire backend to support um, Playwright or whatever it is, Puppeteer. Uh, okay, so let me just put these points. So Puppeteer or Playwright. I think there's another one. It's called Night Pigeon. I have no clue. Um, yeah. Um, well, you're not doing. I was going to write rotating IPs, but you're not actually going to be rotating IPs because you're not, or maybe you would be, right? You can't have like one session do everything. You probably have to rotate IPs, but um, yeah. Anyway, cool. So it seems like we're going to be focused on the Chrome extension. Like that would make more sense as like an initial solution. And then the question is like, okay, but how do you start? What does the MVP, what does that look like? What features are you going to include in the MVP? So again, the value or the problem statement is takes too long to check out on a new site. Maybe there's another problem statement, which is finding cheaper products. Or maybe not necessarily cheaper products, but finding the same product at a lower cost. That is comparable or has identical quality. Okay. Yeah. So these are probably the two problem statements that we're trying to address. The core problem statement I think that we should focus on, at least initially, is that first one, which is it takes too long to check out on a new site. It takes too long to check out on a new site. And this is probably where you're going to be relying on AI more. There's obviously going to be some element of AI on that second one too, because to tell if a product is truly unique or if it's different, or if it's unique or if it's the same, you maybe need to like compare descriptions, and descriptions might not be exactly the same. So there's some element of AI in that second one too. But I think the spicier one to work on would be that first one. So yeah, let's just say takes too long to check out on a new site. And the MVP, what would that look like? Um, we can go back to this screen so we can take a look at it again together. Click buy on an AI agent Chrome extension. Agent creates a virtual card in email, navigates the website, and buys. So maybe this is the crucial point, right? Navigates the website and buys. The create a virtual card in email is nice to have. That'd be cool. You definitely want to, especially if you're using like a shady site you haven't used before, which is the whole premise, right? You don't want to be using your primary credit card. You probably want to use a generated credit card. There are a bunch of services that do this. The one that I think is most known is privacy.com. You can take a look at privacy.com. Yeah, and I think they have, I'm pretty sure they have an API. Docs, do they have docs? Or actually, they rebranded to something else. They rebranded to something else, which is a B2B solution. Lithic, right, Lithic. Okay. Their B2B thing. So privacy.com is their consumer thing, and then they have a B2B thing using Lithic, and then that's where they have documentation. I mean, if you're going down that route, there are probably a bunch of them that you can use. Essentially, the way this flows is you would have like, and this is kind of unrelated to this whole part up here, but the way it flows is you would have a Plaid sign in, blah blah blah. You sign in using your bank account, so username and password, blah blah blah, and then whenever you pay for something, uh, it would um, it would generate a new card. So it would give you like card details, and when a transaction comes through, and you can set like your own limit. So you can have your own limit. You can lock it to a particular merchant or maybe a category. So electronics, for instance, instead of like Radio Shack. And then when a charge comes through, it would just take the money from your bank account. So it would do like a transfer to their own bank account, and once they could confirm the funds are available, that's when the transaction settles. So yeah, this is kind of like in principle how the thing works. And um, let's see. Okay. So coming back to this, I think that's more of a detour. Like, sure, it'd be nice to have, but I probably wouldn't include it in an MVP. Um, the I would maybe make a later section down here where you can generate cards, even like generate email address. Uh, what else would we not include in that initial version? Work on mobile. I mean, these are all nice to haves, and you'll probably get to it at some point, some more important than others. But I would still consider it to be a nice to have. I don't think it's absolutely necessary. Um, let's clear this up. I hate it when I miss a spot. All right, there we go. Just all right, nice. Got the whole thing. Cool. What else? Right. So all of this stuff actually happens later. Um, the key things are, so what are what is the MVP actually going to include? That's probably the better question. So it's going to be a Chrome extension. We've already established that. Autofills address, card details, and then like personal info. What else? And then pay, right? That's it. Yeah, I think if you can show that and resume. I don't know, like the resume in stock, it seems to me like a pretty strong feature, and maybe we should include that. I don't know, like that's why I have a question mark next to it. But yeah, I think these are the core things. I think these are the core things. Um, yeah. Oh, also the other idea that I had, I'm just writing this as a reminder. Session session hijack using cookies uh, to avoid what? To avoid storing credentials. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. All right, so Chrome extension, autofill the address, card details, and personal info, and then pay. Yeah, that just seems like a super simple way to get started with this process. All right, I think we've got everything we need to get started. One last step that I like to do, we're not going to go like full blown Figma design here, but I want to get a sense of what that flow is going to look like. And so it's useful if you have a few wireframes just sort of sketched out so that we can get a visual idea for what this thing is going to look like. So that's what's going to be here, wireframes. So you can imagine going to the checkout screen on, like, let's say you're on momandpop.com. Oh, this is a super cheap um, sneakers. I don't know why you'd be buying sneakers off momandpop.com, but what else, right? So you find some sneakers that you want to buy. You um, add them to the cart. You add them to the cart, and then so the first step is, and then the second step is, wait, are you logged in at this point in time or no? Oh, it's a good question. Good question. Are you logged in? See, this is exactly why you want to have wireframes, so you kind of think through the problems. Are you logged in at this point in time or not? So does it do automatic login for you, or automatic registration or not? The assumption is that it's a new website, and a new website means you likely, I mean, I'm sure there's some sites where you can't even add stuff to the cart until you've already logged in, right? That's probably the case. Uh, hmm. Well, the simpler way would be to say, all right, well, just assume you're already logged in. So later, I mean, that's automatically register and maybe prompt user, right? Like you could include accounts that you already have at different companies, and if you don't have an account, it would automatically register. This is another part of the reason why it would make sense to generate emails yourself, because if you're generating emails, then you could actually set this up so that the generated email forwards to your email inbox, and whenever it receives an email, sometimes you have to verify your email by clicking on a link or typing in some sort of code. Uh, what it would do is it would automatically parse incoming messages and extract the code or the link to automatically validate the generated emails. So that's one less step that you need to do. Very, very cool. That would be awesome, but I don't think it's necessary for an MVP. Definitely adds some complexity to the process. So anyway, add to cart assumes that you're signed in. You're already signed in, right? And then once you add to the cart, you go to checkout, and then checkout page, you're gonna have your sneakers, blah blah blah, and you have to enter your address details, right? So at the checkout page, you would click the Chrome extension, to buy whatever it is, whatever that icon is. And when you do that, it automatically knows that, oh, there's an address field over here, your name, um, maybe like some delivery details. I mean, if there's any input required, like in some cases, you're going to have like some input is going to be required from you. So this could be like shipping speed. Is that going to, you probably have to select a shipping speed preference. We could add that. Like, in addition to personal info, ship speed preference. Okay. Or you could just prompt the user, like, ask them to select whatever shipping speed they prefer. Both possible. All right, so you select your details and then you click next. And by the way, like, we're not going to be hard coding any of this. Sites differ too much. There's no way you're going to be able to hard code any of this. The way I kind of envision this working is GPT-4 has vision, and you can feed it screenshots. So the way this would work is it would take a screenshot of the entire page and upload it to GPT-4 and ask it where it needs to click in order to proceed with the checkout process. So that way you're not hard coding anything. You don't need to program. I mean, traditionally, the way you would do this is you would like have to ask or hard code like momandpop.com at this date, this is what the position of each field is. And then, you need to fix it on a particular browser size and hope that they don't change it frequently, because if they do, that's going to screw up everything and break your checkout process. It's incredibly fragile. Uh, but you'd be able to avoid all of that by using AI, because you can take a screenshot and pass it to GPT-4, and then you'd be on your way. Cool. All right. So automatically fill in details, and then you'd enter your card details. So payment method. All right. Again, this would be auto-filled. My handwriting is just getting worse the longer, the more I write, the worse it gets. It's like the opposite of practice makes perfect. Practice makes it worse. I don't know if it's my hand getting tired or what. I haven't written this much in ages. Anyway, cool. All right, so you click pay, and then in most cases, I don't know about the US, but I know for here, in most cases, what's going to happen is, you're going to be receiving some sort of OTP, and you'll be expected to enter the OTP. This is going to require manual input, obviously, because we don't have access to your phone yet. Maybe in the future, like you'd have a way to automatically read SMSs. I don't know. Like maybe it's okay to have like that one level of friction. It doesn't need to be entirely seamless, like one click experience. I think it's okay if, you know, new store, new website. It's okay if you just enter the code, right? That's if that's the only input required. That's okay. It's a safety feature, you know, it's fine. Um, cool. So yeah, I think that's it. Like I don't know what else there would be. I think that's pretty much it. Um, Obviously, before this process, you would have to have stored your information, like your address, card details, etc. So that's going to be like a separate flow. Maybe it's part of the onboarding flow. So when you first download the Chrome extension, you would collect all this information, and then we'd be able to then take that information and use it whenever you check out on a new site. Cool, cool. All right. Is there anything else that I'm missing? Huh. Let's see. I'd ask the chat, but I don't think there's anyone on the chat. Yeah, I'd be surprised if there's even one person viewing this. Is there? There probably is like one person. I see one viewer. Hey, if you're out there, just wave. Like, say something. Assuming you're not a bot. I'd be happy to hear from you. Um, it's just me and you, man. It's just me and you. Okay, he left. Or she. There's zero people viewing it now. Scared him off. All right. Anyway, cool. So, right. I think we've got everything that we need. We know what we're going to include in the MVP. It's going to be a Chrome extension. You're going to autofill some addresses, card details, personal info, and then you pay. We're going to be relying on the sort of tech side of things is rely on GPT-4-V, the Vision API, for uploading screenshots. And yeah, maybe you do this every time the URL changes, something like that, something like that. And I think that's the only tricky bit. Like, how do you actually capture the page? I don't know. And maybe there's a way to parse the HTML so that you can extract the fields, but I don't think that's, I mean, you still need to know like the rendered position, and that's going to be a whole thing. So you're probably better off um, capturing a screenshot and just passing it to GPT-4. That'd be super interesting to see like how that process actually works. Huh. All right, cool. So I think we've got pretty much everything down now. The only thing left is to actually start building this. And oh, one more thing. I don't think we have any authentication on it. Okay, so whatever. I'll just assume authentication is another one of the things that we're probably going to end up doing later, right? So I'm just going to add that to the later list. So no authentication to begin with. I think there's a hard limit. I don't know if this is still the case, but I think there's actually like a hard limit of um, 100 uh, 100 screenshots a day. So you probably don't need to worry about your OpenAI account getting drained out. Cool. All right, so we're 36 minutes in. We already have a pretty good idea of what it is that we're going to be building. Um, it's going to be a simple Chrome extension. Uh, it's that will autofill your information on a new site using the GPT-4 Vision API, and then it would complete the checkout process. That's literally it. Let's start building. We're going to take a quick break and then we'll be back. So I think we're probably going to be taking more than just a quick break. So what I'll do is I'll end the stream here and then I'll record another episode for the actual development process of the app. So that's probably going to go up shortly. But I need to be gone for like half an hour. So I don't think running the BRB music for half an hour is going to be something you'd appreciate. So I'll wrap things up here and then I'll